I wonder what.
Oh, Phil, your sound, Phil.
Sorry. Sorry, try again. We were just saying.
Start
Feel
again.
for again. This is because we do the show on Wednesday and I don't have sound on that one. Yes, we are just saying, think of the poor guy of Chaos 12, the poor Air Force pilot who spent 6 hours going round and round in circles. Just off the coast of Cornwall there where they're holding the G7. G7's being just down in here. Here it is, just down in here. And he's been going round and round and round like this. This is the tanker, which was going round and round with him. But he was doing big racetracks like this, going up and down. And he was just going round and round and round. So if you think you're having a bad day, think of him. So we were saying that he must have taken a lot of sandwich with him and a lot of piddle bags to do that, for going round and round doing that all day. Bless his little heart. So anyway.
At least he's getting his hours in.
Well, yeah, he's certainly going to be racking up his hours going round and round in circles like that. But yes, all good stuff. Anyway, we trust you're all doing very well and everything's going well. Nice weather here in the UK at the moment. It's proper nice and warm. I know some people have had a little bit of weather, but we've had it nice. You guys okay?
Yeah, super, mate. Yeah, it's been, to be honest with you, it's been overcast and a bit close until 5 o'clock, and then it's got red hot. Just like clouds cleared and it's really bright sunshine, but the rest of the week's been absolutely beautiful.
Yes, very,
Definitely
very
can't complain. It's definitely too nice to be at work.
Yes, I know. I must admit, been under the studio lights the last couple of days doing some building, and I was like absolutely drained earlier because it was like proper muggy. It's like 75% humidity, and it's not nice. So never mind. John, how are you? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. You
Yeah.
don't know, no air conditioning in your little van?
Oh, yeah, 2 windows
Yeah,
on each side.
it's nice that Royal Mail make the effort, but again, you're doing your little bit for the environment by not running air conditioning.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Very nice as well. Anyway, we trust you're all very good down in on the live chat as well to the Flory family. Good evening to all of you guys. Hope you're all doing very well and keeping good. So yes, very nice. Well, okay, so just to bring you slightly up to speed, I've been building, because I've been on a bit of a roll with this one, this little guy. So this is our Cobra, which is coming together, and it's typical ICM, as in it's not a complicated build at all. It's nice, straightforward, no fuss, no frills. It's like the Lidl of the model world, as in it's all there and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just basic, you know.
Cheap.
Yeah,
Well,
it is, I suppose, but you know, there's nothing wrong with Lidl's. It's fine, but that's how I describe now ICM of mine, now be known as the Lidl brand. I say I've done a little bit of work. We've added some harnesses in there, and we've done a bit of weathering and that. And again, you could go right over the top with this and put in plenty of extra detail and stuff in, because typical of ICM, you've got everything you really need. So you have got, obviously, you've got the gearbox. There's no engine, but you can't see it. But we got the reducer in there and all the various bits and pieces. So if you wanted to, you could go in there with some plumbing and wiring and jazz it all up and liven it all up. So that'd be quite nice. Obviously, like I've spoken about in the actual build, that you know, we're building this now. There's no aftermarket available for it, but I'm sure the aftermarket people will come along, and like Aquinta Studios, I'm sure are probably going to do a 3D resin set for this. That'll look really nice, because that's really what it needs. Because although I've tried to weather in those decals and that for the instrument panel, they're still not brilliant. But generally, though, it's very nice. No fit issues at all. It's just gone together very, very nicely. And again, it's a nice sort of solid construction, considering the plastic is very, very thin. You probably see how thin this stuff is. I was a bit concerned about trying to get it all together, but now it's in there. You can probably see down in here, this engine area makes it structurally solid, all this area here, and obviously the cockpit coming across does that same thing there. And then we've got this bottom plate, which will slide in underneath here, and to be honest, it looks really, really nice as well. can't see a problem with the fit with that, so that's nice. It's got a front area and obviously the chin. We've got a nose which then comes around in halves, one of the directions, that way up. And again, it's got some nice locating bits and pieces going on in here. We can get it in, there we go. And it's really nice, good fit. So I think the testing point for this will be the glasswork to see how that goes in, because it is literally multi-part like we were saying. So it is literally quarters on the top. So that will be the test for this one. But if that goes in flawlessly with no issues, then actually it'll be very, very nice. So yes, well done ICM. We like you. You both knock out some really, really good stuff. But they are now going to be called the Liddles of the kit world now.
I'm sure they're chuffed to bits with that comparison.
They'll love it. It's fine.
So, you've got to have nose weight?
I don't think so. I don't know actually. You might have to. I'm not sure how far the skids go back, where the balance point is. I've never added nose weight to a Cobra as far as I know or remember. So I'm not sure. It just depends obviously because you've got the gun and the various parts down here at the front. I don't know. If you wanted to, the nice thing is you've got plenty of room for it. You could easily stick a little something down in there. I don't know if it says in there about the instructions for nose weight. Is that a thing I need to be looking at?
It might be.
Does it say nose weight? It doesn't mention nose weight. So I think we're all right.
On the side of caution.
It might be on the side of caution because the skid things are just behind the front, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. As I say, you've got the main rotor head as well with the rotor hanging out the front and all. So
yeah. Are you going to actually pose any of the doors open, or are you going to shut it all up?
I don't know. To be honest, I think that if the glasswork isn't a good fit, then it's probably going to be open to get around that little issue, perhaps with fit issues. If it's a nice fit, I might button it up so it's not a dust magnet. So yeah.
I thought we were going to add the figures to it though.
Well, yes, you could put figures to it as well. So I think we'll have to have it open then, won't we?
Yeah, I would have said so. Because it's got a good candidate to actually make a bit of something out of that, I think, when the figures arrive and all the other bits and bobs are doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be a thing if you could open the doors or leave them open to do it, or leave one of them.
But
I'll have to have a look at the figures actually, because I can't remember what the poses are on the figures. I'm sure there's one.
There's one, I think he's sitting on the stub, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's sat on there with his legs hanging over it and all the rest of it off of the little wing. So yeah. But no, definitely, I think one of you just mentioned it in there. It is definitely a mojo builder, ICM kits, because again, you can do that thing about you go as far as you want with it. Like I've said before, the great thing with ICM, what I like about them, is that it's all there, it's nicely detailed, but you got everything for a straightforward out-of-the-box build, but you can then add to it. And like I've said, with the JU88s and the Heinkel's, things like that, you've got a basic engine. So you could then go in and add wiring and plumbing and all the bits and pieces to it to really bring it to life. And it doesn't take that much work to bring them because the basics are all there. But if you don't want to, you can just close it up and that's it. And the same thing with these ones as well. So it's obviously removable panels here on the side to get access in here. As is on the real thing. So again, you could have perhaps one on, one off, or both off, whichever way you wanted to do it. So if the ground crew are working on it, if you are working some type of diorama, at least you've got that option with the kit as well.
Details the engine?
Well, yeah, it's nothing hugely detailed, but again, you've just got everything. Say it's typical ICM, as in it's got the basics of it. So there is a swash plate running up in there. You can see it from the top. Down in there and all the rest of it, so you have got something going on in here, but again, it's nothing over the top and massively fancy. You haven't got loads of plumbing coming out, for instance, and stuff like that. So the engine itself is obviously in here, so if you wanted to obviously there is no engine. All you've got is a plug for the actual exhaust, and you've got the reducer gear in here that comes forward and then goes up and all the rest of it. So obviously you're only talking gearboxy stuff and hydraulics from that. You're not talking engine and various things, because that would obviously be back in here. So
how much wiring then is actually seen on the real one?
I think there is a bit running around in here, because obviously you've got all sensor cables and hydraulic lines and stuff like this off the gearbox and that. But it's very difficult, to be honest, for such a sort of well-known aircraft and all the rest of it. It's really hard to find reference photos of that. You know,
Right.
there's a couple I found on the interweb by having a big scoop round and all the rest of it, but there's not tons of it on there showing these open. Normally they've got smaller access panels open and stuff like that. So, but they don't tend to do the main ones open and stuff. So, it's a bit like the cockpit. I've got some great reference shots of the front cockpit, but not many on the rear. So, like these armour plates, they sort of slide up and down. They're like powered windows.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So, and stuff. But yeah, it's.
Just tip it upwards a minute to the camera, so you can see the cockpit. Well, I don't look that bad. You say it's a bit sparse, but I don't think it looks too bad.
Yeah, I would say these are my usual sort of tinfoil harness jobs, so it's just them. I just literally bend them up and chuck them in there. And again, we've done just some weathering and,
Do you get a decal for the instrument?
Yeah, there are decals in there.
The thing is with ICM, I think they like to keep they do keep their kits at a reasonable price, don't they?
Yeah.
They could probably add a lot more detail, but how much would that increase the cost of the kit?
Yes.
And they probably know that all the aftermarket guys are going to be all over it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Edard and Quinter will be all over that for a cockpit. For
Oh,
starting,
absolutely,
Edard will
yeah.
be putting bits left, right, and centre with their stuff now, won't they? For upgrading that.
That's it. And I'm sure somebody will probably do a full, more detailed job in here as well. You can imagine that being like a 3D printed or a resin replacement just for that,
But at least they do provide a level of detail. They haven't totally copped out like Zvezda did with their Hind.
Yes.
Let it go. Let it go now, John. Just move on.
We've moved on for that job. Are we allowed to talk about that other thing we were talking about earlier about
We
that?
are going to talk about it.
Oh,
We're
right.
going to have a massive big discussion about this release. Right?
All right, we'll do that after we've done our bit, then we'll talk about
Yeah, go on then.
that.
John, you can go next. Show them your.
Yeah,
kit
go on
that
then,
you
John.
built,
Show us your wares.
'cause it's super
To be
real.
honest, I've had a quiet, probably month in here because I've been doing other things. But
Oop. There he is.
yeah, I've started getting some paint on the Sabre.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's getting there.
And what's that
I've got
paint?
a day on my own on Sunday because Lynn's going out for the day, so I intend to be stuck in here all day and get the basic paintwork on. But I don't know whether I should be happy that I've started this Kitty Hawk kit now, really.
Well, you have been working on it a while now, so.
But no, I really have enjoyed it, to be honest. I've not lost interest in it whatsoever.
Can we see the other side?
The other side's just primer.
So it's took you that long to build it, John? They've gone bust.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thanks to John taking a lifetime to build this, they've actually forgotten about, and moved on. That's a classic now. I hope you realise that.
I say, do you know how rare that kit is, John?
Yeah.
Oh, there's tons of the K version in Hannants. It's fine.
All right, John, another then.
Wow.
Very nice. Good job. And Mr. Matt, what you been doing? Show us your figure.
Yeah, another figure. Right, so nothing actually work-wise, because obviously with last week only doing 3 days and having a couple off, that scuppered the plans there, and then I've come back this week and we've just been that super busy with orders and stuff. I've not had time, so my plan is to start filming again properly next week. So that'll be nice. I can get on with the other figure. But in the meantime, and I'll show you what I've been doing at home. So hold on. I managed to scupper another sort of dragon figure.
All right, nice.
So he's the Stalingrad one.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been painting him.
Very nice.
As you can see, he has got another one, by the way. See, look.
Yes.
So that's just getting my eye in basically for seeing how these dragon figures paint up, because they are a lot different being styrene to resin. But actually, I don't think they're actually too bad. With a bit of prep, a bit of clean up, usual stuff when you've got styrene figures. They do scrub up all right.
Looks fantastic. No, he looks very nice, doesn't he?
He's come out all right, look.
Are you going to paint his hair?
No, because he's got his helmet on.
He might get hot one, take it off.
Oh, yeah, could shove it down there, look, but no. Yeah, so far really nice, to be honest. I'd say it's going along all right. And also, what I've been experimenting with, what we do need to talk about as well, is another one of them.
Yeah.
But I've been doing the insides. Okay?
Yeah.
This is going to show. That is all weathering pencils.
Oh, cool.
All the staining, all the weathering, obviously not the actual paint job.
Yes.
But all that is weathering pencil. And I'll tell you what, I'm getting quite...
You're getting your eye in with them now, then?
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing. I would like to know the limits of them, what they can do and what they can't do, and what they're good for and what they're not. Because obviously, as I was saying earlier, I bought when we did an AK order, you know, Books and Me.
Yeah.
So I've been sort of just taking a bit of inspiration out of that. So I tell you what, I think there's a lot of use for these pencils. I'll be honest. I just think you need to try them.
Yeah.
And I think you need to use them on your helicopter.
Well, between the old Posca pens and weathering pencils, that's it.
We're just colouring in.
It's the future, yeah. We're now colouring in.
But I think you can get some really nice effects with them. So yeah, that's what I've really been fiddling about with for the past week or so.
It is funny because one of the only things we don't have from a modelling point of view, isn't it, is, you know, obviously we get oil paints and we've got acrylics, we've got enamels, we've got lacquer base and everything else like that. But, you know, and obviously you've got water as in acrylic base. But what about physical, you know, like the water paints, you know, where you have that hard disc? Because that's really what that is, isn't it? It's in a pencil form of it. That's the one thing no one actually does. So, you know, like, you remember you had as a kid a palette of those discs. Yeah, those discs, and you mix them with water and away you go. No one's really gone down that avenue with them yet. So that's probably the closest to it, isn't it? Well, yeah, those pencils are really the same thing. That,
to me, is what, because these are, until you seal them, you can reactivate them and move them around as much as you want.
Yeah.
And just literally wash it off. And this is obviously, I think you've got to use them again on a flat surface. They're not going to work on a satin or they're like oil paints. They need something to grip to work. But yeah, again, they don't smell. They're quite, you know, user friendly. I reckon it's just the colours they do as well, especially the AK range, are suitable for obviously what we're modelling.
Yeah.
So again, I think they just needs a bit more playing with and experimenting and stuff. I was actually tempted. I'll tell you what I did do this afternoon, just in between doing stuff, is the camper van I built.
Yes.
Took it upstairs and just gave it a quick coat of Tamiya Primer aerosol. And the plan is, I think I might have a really good go at using the pencils on that. I'm going to do a bit of a, not a derelict one, a bit like, you know, a bit of a more of a worn one. You know, try and rusty the roof up, you know, where it wears through the centre of the roofs and and bits and bobs, and perhaps down the bottom of the doors where they do rust and fading and stuff, use them for fading. So yeah, just have a bit of play and see how it turns out. But, yeah.
Well, I might do it obviously on this thing because it's going to be olive drab or whatever it is with the. I'm planning on doing that two-tone camo with it, but I could give them a whirl on this because this again will lend itself because it's got nice big flat areas which you could get in with it and have a go. So you know, because I know I've seen a few things and people doing some great stuff with you know, rain marks and that things with them as well. So I might give them a whirl on this because I've never used them properly yet. I've had a fiddle with them and a play, but I've never sat down and, you know, sort of tried to, you know, learn how to use them and everything. So yes.
Nathan's been using them a lot. He loves them as well, doesn't he?
Who's that, sorry?
Nathan.
Yes, on his latest build he has. Yeah, he has been using them. Yeah. So I think it's like one of them things. You know, people bought them. Obviously, when we first got them in, I think people sort of bought them and then it's like trying them, isn't it? It's getting to use them.
Yes.
You know, because there's that many other products out there, but I think it'll complement well with your washers, your enamels, your oils. Again, it's just another layer on top of everything else, isn't it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Cool. Very good. Right. Okay. So we have a look at the some fantastic work.
Yes.
So look at that.
To get that out of what turned up from the post.
Look at that.
Company, that is just amazing because that is just mullered, isn't it? That box.
You know, when we're off and we talk about we get damaged boxes in at work. That's what you think of, isn't it?
We couldn't sell that, could we?
No, we couldn't sell that.
As
No.
a damaged box. That's just scrap.
Yes,
Bin.
that's it. Anyway, Steve's been very, very busy with this one. I'd say this is the 1956 Revel fuel truck. So again, beautiful work on this one. Really nice, that classic Sinclair, the dinosaur.
Yeah. About right for the fuel, isn't it, dinosaur?
Yeah, it is. Look
That's
what you're going to be.
You've just said it.
Yeah.
That was all.
So yes, very, very nice. Good job on that, and I say good rescue on what is an absolute awful damage box.
Yeah,
Proper classic.
Do you know what? It's 48 scale as well, isn't it? That because I know you get US Air Force scheme in it.
Yeah.
So it could well. I presume they must have used them on air bases. I don't know what
Yeah, I would have
actually
thought so. Yeah.
what they was refueling, but it's I think with a bit of scratch building, you could probably bring it back up speed. Because I don't think it's got any glass.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure. Has that got glass?
I was just looking at it. I think it's got a windscreen.
Has it got a screen?
I think it's got a screen, but it looks like it's got no side windows.
Yeah. Again, it wouldn't be hard just to fabricate something.
Yeah, you
But
can put some in.
For the age of the kit, I don't think that's too shoddy, really.
I was going to say, you've got it there. You've got your engine, your bit. It's obviously got some workable stuff in there. So, yeah, definitely. I think considering you say the age of the kit, I think it's a mega job. But nice paintwork as well.
Yes. Is it an old Rebel kit, that? Or an old monogram?
Well, it says Revel, but I don't know if it's monogram originally.
Because it's Reebok by Atlas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does say, look, 1956 Rebel fuel truck. So it's
Yeah.
Rebel. There you go, kit of the year, Rebel.
Yeah, they're all manufacturer of the year.
Should say.
Yes.
Well done with that.
But no, well done. That is absolutely fantastic. And to say, to go from that, you'd just be a nightmare. So good job, definitely.
Yeah, brilliant.
Speaking of good jobs, because I know this kit very well, this is the Dragon 32nd P51D done by James. And to be honest, this kit is a little bit awkward. I've built many of them over the years because obviously Tamiya didn't release theirs until relatively 10 years ago, whatever it was. So this was the staple kit to do, and I did oh god, what's she called? Something bitch, which is one of the free builds, which was one of the first ones we did. Really, I think it's one of the very first early builds. Definitely, it was the first time I did a 32nd build, and yeah, definitely. But again, it's got mechanical parts for all the working parts on it, like the Tamiya one, but definitely not as refined, because their photo etch is like steel. It's quite chunky, but generally it's got really nice fit around the front end, because that's not easy either. So,
I mean, that kit's knocking on now, though, isn't it? Let's be honest, that's a 90s, isn't it, from Dragon?
Yeah.
So when was Tamiya's? 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think Tamiya's must have came along around about, I'm just trying to think when it was, so it must have been 10 years ago now.
Probably.
It's got to be 9 or 10 years ago now that got released, because I was in my old house when I built that one. But no, nice job, nice markings, lovely paintwork onto this one as well, but generally he's done a very nice job there. Definitely made a silk purse out of a sow's ear, as they say around these parts.
Is that... I take it is fully riveted from...
Yeah, that's the kit. Yeah, no, it's kit riveted, because obviously that's the thing, the wings shouldn't be. So, as ironic as it is, but then to say, not being funny, Tamiya did the same mistake as well.
Yeah. But again, there is the argument though, if it's... I know it shouldn't be, and it should be putted and all that in real life, but it does add a bit of something to a model kit when they are, especially in 32nd as well.
Yeah, I think it showed like that with the Zero I did. If the wings weren't riveted in that colour scheme, it would look very, very boring. But it adds a real dimension to it when you can see all that riveting. So, definitely. But good figure as well, Anzac figure.
Yeah.
But no, nice job.
I actually thought, no, we've seen it, because I think we were looking through it, I actually thought it was the Tamiya one at first till what it was, the description. So
yeah, no, I must admit, I saw it. Was it yesterday, the day before, and I thought the same thing. I thought it was the Tamiya one, and then I must admit, it was like, read the title, and I was like, no, that's a nice job on that, because it's not a straightforward kit to go together.
So how does that stack up accuracy wise? Do you know, or
I don't know.
No. Okay. Has it got an engine? Sorry, what's that, John?
It looks like a Mustang.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I must admit, I don't know. I built a few of them because obviously, if you wanted a 30-second Mustang, that was the one to do back in the day. You know, and all the rest of it. But it, you know, say compared to the Tamiya one, this thing's really clunky. It's typical Dragon, you know, old Dragon. So.
But how does it compare to Trumpy's 30-second one?
Well, this is it, and I haven't built Trumpy's 30-second one, so I wouldn't know.
No, I've not either. Not even owned it. No. One of the kits I've never had actually. So I don't know what it's like in the box. I bet somebody's got one and can say if it's.
Yeah, did they rivet the wings as well? If it's Trumpeter in those days, probably. But yes, so well done, James. That's very nice indeed. Next up, we've got Mike. He's been busy with what is it? It's a boat. No, it's not. It's a Hansa Bradberg W20. So it does look like a boat.
A boat with wings.
It is literally. They strap some wings onto a boat.
And it's a resin kit.
Yeah.
Done a good job of that. Actually, that's really good.
Very
and
nice.
it's different, isn't it? You don't see many of them built.
No.
You probably didn't see many of them flying either in real life.
Yeah, or not for long.
Yeah.
The engine looks decidedly underpowered compared to the aerodynamics of the actual aircraft. Because surely try to push that thing through the air. And I like he's got a bold man. You don't see that very often in figure painting.
Especially back in whenever it was.
Yeah. So, yes, no, good job on that one, Mike. That's absolutely beautiful. Lovely rigging work as always. So
very Dick Dastardly, isn't it?
It is definitely Dick Dastardly, yeah. You're a bit like you hope this bit comes off.
Yes.
When it's in the water. It's stuck to your boat. Right, okay, so good job on that one. Now we will have to spare a moment for Kitty Hawk.
Alright, minute silence for Kitty Hawk.
No, they don't. Right, anyway.
No.
So, Dean has done actually what I thought was quite a nice kit. I must admit, I've been a real Voodoo fan, but because it's really modular and all the rest of it, I was very much put off. And then you see one done and you're like, perhaps I should have built one. But I might not ever get the chance now, seeing as we sold our ones, haven't we?
Yeah, it is. But I'll get you one, don't worry.
No, it's fine. No, it's all right.
No, I insist. I will,
no,
I will source
honestly,
you
you're far too kind. I'm sure there's some more deserving people than me.
Hey,
To the B version in Hannons.
It's just my generous nature, Phil. Don't worry.
Thanks for that. No, it might get lost in the post. That anyway. This is the B with the 2-seat. Very nice.
I tell you, I can remember you reviewing that, and you said it was the original one, which was the single seat version, and you said it looks like it's come from 3 different factories.
It did, because if you remember, my one, it had
Yeah.
this nose is separate to this bit, which is separate to this bit. The ejector pins have come through. They physically, you know when you like get a hole punch, there was these bits of plastic, and I couldn't work out what they were, and what it was, the ejector pins are pushed right the way through. So yeah, you know, sometimes they're a bit close. Though these have gone that bit too far. So, but no, anyway, beautiful work. Very good. Nice banding around the actual with the things. Is that watermarks or bird poo? Can't tell.
Bird poo.
Scale bird poo.
Well, it's Canadian. It must be geese.
Oh, geese. That'd be it. It'd be Canada geese. Christ, get it by them. You know about it.
Let's not be stereotypical, eh?
No. But no, really nice job on that, because it's got that proper Canadian warmed down look to them. Because obviously they're up there around the old Arctic Circle and all the rest of it. They're going to get a hell of a beating up doing that job. So,
I mean, from you reviewing the single seat version, I can't see that being much different, apart from obviously the front.
No. And again, classic IT, you know, we often talk about the Voodoo because it's got some real quirky things. This has got a rotary bomb bay or weapons bay, wasn't it? So this thing rotates, you know, to do it. And wasn't it that the reason the engines hang out the back is that the actual design was longer? Originally, they should have been this long.
Yeah.
Like a Phantom is. But when they built the engine, they were too long. So instead of redesigning the aircraft, they just hung them out the back.
Yeah, it's a very quirky. I do like the Voodoo, to be honest.
But yeah, it is. It's that quirky type thing. I think I've built the Matchbox version of it. And obviously, I've done the old Monogram Century series as well.
Well, I've built that version. I've built the Revell kit. And seriously, if you get the little 70-second Revell kit of that, get it, because it was out not that long ago, a few years ago, and so I think it will still be reasonably priced, because it did go for silly money again, because you couldn't get it for a long time. It's an absolutely cracking kit.
Yeah,
really is a nice kit. It's upstairs actually, mine in a box.
Didn't you do the Valen one as well? The Recce one?
I did the Valen single seat Recon one, which is really the one I want. If I'm going to do a kitty up one, would have been that one. I'm watching one now, but if it goes for silly money, I'm not going to bid on it. But the Valen one again, to be honest, it takes a bit of work. Usual Valen short run. But it looks like a voodoo.
Yes.
So.
But no, absolutely, I love it. I think that's actually a great build, because knowing that kit as I do, it's a right handful, and it's very modular, and there's big lines and joins in this kit all over it, and you can't see it. It's nailed it. It's lovely, and I like the weathering onto it. It looks proper weathered. So, and beaten, and they were. That's the whole point to it. That's what they look like. So, yes, kudos to you, because that's not a tricky kit to do. Yeah, it is a tricky kit to work with, and you absolutely nailed that one. So, good job on that one, Dean.
Because we had one of those in stock yet, but we did for not very long yesterday, and I was actually looked at the decal set on the box. So obviously there's the Canadian one which is done, but there's actually a nice sea camo one as well.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a scheme which would look nice, especially the voodoo sea camo. I think that looks nice.
Yeah, it would look nice. So
yes.
Good job. Done. Good to be proud of that one, Dean. Good job. And next up we've got Christopher, and he has done the 48 scale Edard Bristol F2B, which my hat, because anybody who does anything with rigging in this scale needs their bumps felt. I've tried it a few times, and it's like bad enough in 30 seconds. So when you get down to 48 doing rigging and all the rest of it, I sort of lose the will to live at that point. But lovely job on that one. I love the markings with the old fashioned identification mark with the black and the white.
They do. They're little. Well, I suppose, like the 48 Edard World War One stuff's actually quite nice. I know Nathan and Andy's built the Iron Deckers and a few other bits, and they do look good when they're done. Yeah. Bit too fiddly for me, but
it is. Don't forget the fuselage about the size of your thumb, isn't it?
Yeah, they are
tiny little things. So I tip my hat, because that rigging looks absolutely gorgeous in there. Very nicely done. Very faint. But I must admit, it's the first time I've seen it in this markings.
It's like it's just had a different wings added.
Borrowed the wings, yes. It's built out of two. But
well done. Nice.
I like that. It's really, really nice. Good job. Good job. Nice photos as well.
Yes.
Very, very nice. Oh, look, it's different underneath as well. Jesus. Oh, look, there they are. Dun, dun, dun. Got the mascots. That's it. Tally ho, boys. Okay. Good job. That's it, I think. Is that it for today?
Is that it this week?
I think that's it for our notable mentions this week. Well done, everybody. Good job on that one.
Yeah.
So, yes. Right. Okay. Shall we jump straight into questions? First up, we've got Bennett, and he says, "Hello, guys. This is probably a rhetorical question. I own an Iwata HBB and the HBCH. The B doesn't have a Mac valve, does it?
Don't have no road in Iwata.
This is where you need Andy on dictionary corner, isn't it? Anywhere I'll go off, have a look. If I remember right, the HPB is just the basic one that has the lock off at the back that doesn't have a Mac valve. But the HPCH definitely has a Mac valve, because I know I used to have one.
Hey, which Iwata you got?
I've got the HPC. I think mine is.
And John's got.
I've got the CS.
Yeah, mine's a CS. Okay, I've got the HPCS.
Does that got a Mac valve?
No.
None of your two's got a Mac valve.
But I think the CH, because the H is the Mac valve, isn't it?
Yeah, it has CH.
The H is for hair. But I'm pretty sure the CH is the one with the Mac valve, isn't it? Because that is very similar to our good old one which we're talking about here, which is the PS270. It's similar to this, but I think John, I think it's more like yours, isn't it? Because it's got the middle bit. You've got the stronger bit in the middle. Have you got a bit in the middle where your finger goes?
No.
Scrap that then. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, but I'm pretty sure that, because the thing is, I used to own an HPCH and I flogged it a few years ago. It's the one which got that funny bit underneath the bit here. It sort of goes through, but it has got the lock off at the back and it has got the Mac valve. I remember that bit. So that's it. I assume there isn't any reason to buy the Procon Boy 270. The question you have to ask yourself is, what's wrong with your airbrush? Is there a reason you're not getting on with it? If it's working well for you, you don't need another airbrush. Unless you're Matt, and possibly me, who've got far too many airbrushes because we've got too much time on our hand. It's the big thing. It's one of the biggest questions I get messages sent and stuff like that. It's people asking advice on airbrushes and things. And a lot of people say to me, do you think it's worth switching to and everything else? And like I always say, if you're struggling with your airbrush and it's really not working for you, you don't get on with it, then absolutely try a different airbrush brand. Because for years I really struggled with certain brands and they just didn't work for me very well. And then my airbrushing really took off when I switched over to the H&S airbrushes. So I started off with the Evolution, we went up through the Infinity and everything else, and then in between all of that I had a lot of Iwatas, which I quite like as well. But it is that thing, you know, certain things work for you, certain things don't. So yeah, but if it's working for you, why change? That's the biggest question. But I think you will find an HPCH is very similar to the Procon 270, this one, because if I remember rightly, you've got the Mac valve underneath and you've definitely got a lock off at the back. So the internals I don't think are going to be that much different. So I really wouldn't think it's probably worth jumping ship unless there's a good reason to do that. But the HPB, if I remember rightly, is very much like that one, but you've got a lock off on the back and stuff. So yes.
Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things. Ask yourself the question, am I struggling? Where am I struggling with my airbrushing? And would changing to a different airbrush make any difference? So, you know, it is that thing. Sometimes you just don't get on well with a bit of equipment. So it's no different from using a type of glue, a type of filler, snips. Sometimes, generally, you don't get on with it. So it's best to try another brand perhaps and see how you get on with that one. You might find you're in love with it and you love it and go every day and you're good to go.
I would imagine performance-wise, it's not going to be any different, really, is it?
No, there's still a 0.2 airbrush, aren't they? So, as I say, the Iwatas have this weirdo coding system, which tends to be that it's got a Mac valve and it's got a lock off, but also it's through the different sizes of how they work with 0.35s and 2s and stuff like that. So they can be a little bit confusing as they go through. So I always just look at the thing of like Mac valve. Have you got a lock off at the back? Because they're quite handy, especially if you're moving into lacquers. To have a lock off on the back stops you overspraying. So I quite like the idea of that. And I do it to mine as well. They're all set to half trigger pull, so I can't flood an area. But obviously this one here, which is the CS, doesn't have a lock, which I've always thought it should needed one, but it doesn't have a Mac valve either. And it's still more than the 270. So yeah, take your thing from that. Andy says, hi Phil and team, what does the team think about modelling magazines? Do they have a future with the power of the internet? Being a Flory Models member is the cost of one mag per month, and your builds and reviews are much more useful than most modelling articles. Thank you, Andy. Spread that far and wide, definitely. Again, I think it's that thing that, you know, it's still nice to hold a magazine, to have a flick through, like Matt's got the book there, and things like that. To reference things, it's quite nice to have it, because you can, you know, as I say, when it's digital, you're skimming through and everything else, because I do it with the iPad as well. The only thing that's nice with digital media, if you're looking at photos and you want to see how people have done it, you can expand the image. So you can just make it bigger to have a close look at it and stuff like that. That's nice. But all the rest of the time, it's quite nice to have something tangible in your hand as a reference to be going on with it and stuff like that. So like the other day, we were talking about reference books and stuff like that. I would pay 15, 20 quid for that over going online anytime. And I've got quite a large collection of them and I quite like them. And I always come back and use them for references and bits and pieces. And I think they're far better than anything you can get online, because some of the angles as well, you don't tend to find photos like that online and so forth and so on. So I think really what I'm trying to say is everywhere has its place. Like for instance, if I'm going on holiday and going on a plane, I'll buy a couple of modelling mags to read.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the thing is though, Phil, they're reference books. He's just done about general modelling books. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a big difference. That is useful. And to be fair, this is useful because it's techniques. It's not just a few builds. I think. I think now we go on.
I haven't bought a magazine for years, but I think now that I think of them more as painting and weathering magazines.
Yes, I agree with you, John. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's happening.
Building in them like there used to be years ago.
But you can see why like AK and MIG do them, because they sell weathering products.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a glossy advert for their products.
Of course it is, and why not? You know, that's what they're selling, and why not advertise it? Do you know what I mean? It's like it makes sense. I do think perhaps, like John, I've not bought a magazine as in, you know, traditional modelling magazine for years now. I stopped buying them because it was getting to a point where it was getting really expensive a month for buying perhaps 1 or 2 articles you want to read.
Yes.
As well. And at least with the internet, you can search for what you want to look for.
Yeah, of course you can. And the big thing is, obviously, as well, with the magazines, it's adverts. So back in the day, those adverts were quite useful because Hannants always used to put in, like, you know, double page spread and stuff, so you could see what they'd add in. But that's before the internet. So now, why do you need adverts when, you know, you're looking at stuff and the various things, when you've got these big glossy AK adverts and stuff like that in them? You know, again, it's that thing where advertising, how many articles are in there?
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll carry this question over tomorrow, and we'll put it to the chat. Yes. We'll obviously have both the chats on tomorrow, so we'll just follow it and see who still buys magazines, who thinks they're a waste of time, who's not bothered, and blah blah blah. And we'll do a bit of a survey. Yeah.
You know, again, it's this thing. Also, it's how the hobby sort of changed. I think John hit the nail on the head there by saying it's all weathering. Because this goes back to another question. I was talking to a guy earlier in the week and he was asking about various modelling techniques, and he did say you don't tend to see that on sites because a lot of the YouTube modelers and that, it's all sort of painting and weathering effects rather than the building. You know, and obviously you've got things like the Weathering magazine and stuff like that which specialise in those areas. You know, and again, this is, you know, probably 50% minimum is that building in the hobby, and then the painting and weathering comes after it. And how many times do we see that, you know, even in magazines you look at models and they've got seam lines and various things on them because they've obviously taken a bit of a shortcut on the build, you know. But personally, I must admit, I haven't bought a magazine for ages. I used to get sent a magazine every month, only because I used to write for them years ago. And so I was still on their mailing list, but that stopped a couple of years ago. But again, I'll be honest with you, it used to turn up here and I never used to read it anyway. You know, because, as I say, too busy doing other things in a lot of the days. So, yes, don't know. We will talk about it more tomorrow, though, definitely.
We will, yeah.
Darren says, question for Comrade Buller. John, you're up. Pay attention. Just saw a close-up of a MiG-23 on a recent trip to Kiev. You do realise they got them at... where's that one we went to, Matt?
Newark.
You didn't have to go all the way to Kiev. You go to Newark. They've got both of them in there. They've got the BN and the fighter version. I was wondering about your thoughts about the Edard kit, the reboxing of the trumpeter kit with extras, which is what I did. No, I didn't. I did the other version, didn't I? I read the review was disappointing to read that the nose of the BN variant was incorrect. What are your thoughts on this area of the kit? To be honest, we've had this discussion before on a couple of occasions, and I've got out because I've got the BN down there somewhere and everything. To be honest, it's one of those things. I think a lot of people made a bit of a thing about it, how wrong it is, but is it really that wrong? Would you notice?
Phil.
Right, Phil, I can actually demo this.
Right.
I've done a bit of homework.
Yes.
So I'm just going to... I hope this works. I'm just going to share screen.
Oh, right. Go on then. Right.
Right. The bottom is the kit.
Right.
The top one is the... You can get like a resin aftermarket replacement.
Yeah.
And you can see there's quite a difference.
Yes.
I'd say that's a lot of difference. Not a little bit.
You know, even to the windscreen's way oversized. Yeah, I don't quite know what Trumpy did here, really.
Mind you, it's an old kit now. This kit's like 15 years old. It's one of Trumpy's early ones, wasn't it?
I don't know. No, it's not
The
that
23,
old.
the 23 BM's fairly recent, isn't it?
No, it's not that old, Phil.
Are you sure? Because
Yeah.
I had this kit at my old ass. So that's got to be over 10 years old.
Yeah,
It's
but
not. It's a fairly recent, newish box in the 23.
Oh,
sure
maybe it's a recent boxing, but I'm sure it's older. Quick, Andy, get on scale, mates.
Basically, the MiG-23, they decided to use it. Hang on, I'll stop sharing now.
Here he is.
Right, yeah, the MiG-23, they wanted to use it in ground attack.
Hmm.
But obviously, with the old long nose version, the pilots found it difficult to see the ground that they were attacking.
Fair enough.
They just redesigned it and did that slanted nose, and eventually it went on to become the MiG-27. But yeah, I'm not a rivet counter, but that is quite a big difference, isn't it? You know, that is.
Yeah.
Doesn't look anything like the real thing.
It's not even the right shape, is it? Even
It's
if
not in the right shape, no.
Yeah.
I mean, there are issues with the MiG-23 kits with the intakes as well, but that's never bothered me because when they're built up, it still looks like a MiG-23.
There you go. Andy says it came out in 2012. So it's 9 years old then. So
it's not old though, relatively. Not. It's not Trumpy early 2000, is it?
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So
Well, you know, it's the only one out there, unless you can get hold of the old Esky did the 27, didn't they? Back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not very accurate. Hey, that ain't very accurate at all.
So yeah, you can get the aftermarket front
Yes.
end for it, but
There it is.
that's it. Yeah.
That's the one. Who does the front end for it then?
I think there's a couple. Can't remember who offhand, but there's a couple that make replacement parts. But it's a fair bit of work.
Yeah. It's not just the plug and play one, is it?
Thing is, would it, you know, because if I remember rightly, wasn't it a case of it's not just the nose, because as I say, they do it as the nose, but it's not, that's where the issue lies, it's further back, isn't it? I think the problem starts just in front of the windscreen even, because this bit's too shallow, it needs to be proper down.
I thought the problem started at the tail.
Well,
And then
yeah, work
crept
forward. Yeah.
It does. It's a mixture of everything. It needs a whole new front end. And like I say, the windscreen's way too big on it. So it depends how far you want to go with it, really.
That's why you need to build the 27, like I did. So if you do the Bednar one, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not got the BN or any of the 27s in my stash because for me it's just too much effort.
he says building the Kitty Hawk 30-second Sabre.
True.
Yeah, do that kit. That way you don't have the problem. Because again, the forward fuselage, and that's the problem you've got, is that they didn't change the nose until it's further, you know, till it's right back. Because this one has got the right nose on it. Because it's technically got the fighter radar in it.
Well, it's a great aircraft anyway, was it? Let's be honest.
No. But yes. Interesting though.
So basically what we've concluded is it needs a new nose.
Yeah, so what we're saying is don't do it.
No.
So
Or
yes,
buy a new nose.
definitely need new nose. Okay, Keith says, hi guys, I noticed old photos of World War II aircraft had handwritten messages in, I presume, blackboard chalk On bombs, I tried to source a 48 scale decals for similar bomb upgrade using Google, but with no joy. Do any of you know of such decals? They're out though, and if so, who does them? I don't.
I don't either.
We had a thought about this the other night though.
He did.
Keith, why don't you just buy a white AK weathering pencil and write it on yourself?
Or a Posca pen.
Yeah.
Or even a white crayon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just do it yourself.
Because to be honest, we've seen members do it a lot. I've never done it, to be honest, but I know I've seen it on the forum loads of times where guys have even painted them on with a brush and just written messages on there and various things onto bombs, on spads and stuff like that. But
goes back to these. I think these would be ideal, these weathering pencils.
Yeah, because at least you can rub them off and start again if you screw it up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. You can, it's pretty foolproof, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, if you put obviously a flat coat onto the bomb first, and then obviously just write them on it. So, but yes, definitely. Insert photo, do you mean? Yes, absolutely. Well, that's the type of thing, isn't it? So, yes, I think sharpen up, as you say, like a white pencil, weathering pencil, because obviously they're water-based, and you could just literally write it on, and then if it goes wrong, wet cotton bud, wipe it off and go again. So... But if you wanted to do the painted effect, because obviously some of them they painted on them, didn't they? You could just use like a Posca pen would be the easiest way. Just write it on then.
Well, again, once you've laid down, if you're doing it with your pencils or a crayon, probably these pencils are a bit more foolproof. You can always paint over them as well, can't you? As long as you've got your initial sort of, you're happy with what you've done and the font, you can just paint over it with a brush.
Yes. He says, also, looking at the photo, the fresh load of bombs, they look very weathered, presumably storage and transport to paint. Sorry to keep extending my posts. The map tape I've heard method for navigating desk. A link, please. What? Sorry.
Just print one off. I think he wants a map for the navigation thing. Just print a map off.
Yes.
Of Google and cut it down to size. That's what I've done with armour and stuff. To be honest, you ain't going to see, as long as it gives the impression of a map.
Yes. Well, that's what I did. My B52, my B17, I used that tape, didn't I? And I just stuck the tape and just folded it onto itself in triangled and then left it on the navigation table.
You ought to print off a nice road map of Stockport. And
then,
a bit of homage to your hometown or whatever, and then stick that in.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to know where it is, are they, in that scale?
No, definitely not. Yeah. But yeah, as for the weathered look for the bombs, that's just because they rolled them everywhere, isn't it? It's matte paint and then they are rolled into storage and all the rest of it. But because they're rolled, they get obviously crushing pebbles and stones. So, and then the tails are put on usually just before they go in the bomber, isn't it? Normally. Or before they get carted out to them with the arm infuses and everything. So, yes. Okay, Brian says, gentlemen, no question for today. However, June the 10th marks the second anniversary of joining the forum. I wish to thank all of you for your efforts in providing a friendly, informative environment. I enjoy watching the live shows. The guys really do a great job. Thank you all. I will not be able to watch, so he doesn't watch all the live shows. Cool. This week, as I am sanding and restaining my seemingly endless picket fence. So I take it you're in the US then if you have a picket fence. But we'll hoist a cold one or two to you all when I watch the recording later this evening. Well, I hope the picket fence painting, there you go, it's a mouthful, has gone well. Very nice. Okay, but no, congratulations, 2 years here, absolute brilliant job. And we haven't driven you to distraction quite yet. Peter says, hi Phil and team, I would like to know when riveting a model's fuselage of a helicopter or a plane model, what is the best technique to keep your riveting tool straight and not wobble off, making the rivets go off track? I recently purchased a rivet maker by Master Tools. and I think it's been tried using the Tamiya tape as a guide for the riveting tool, and then followed along after lifting the tape I was using as a guide and noticed that the rivets were not even. So what technique would you recommend for putting rivets evenly on a wing or a fuselage using a riveting tool?
Right, shall I answer this?
Go on then.
Chuck that riveting tool in the dustbin.
Yeah.
It's useless.
Yeah.
It wobbles. That's why they're not very stable, shall we say. So when you are rolling and riveting, it sort of veers off to wherever it wants to go, doesn't it? Really.
It does.
Unfortunately, the one you want, you can no longer get.
No.
Which is the Rose of the Riveters, or the RP Productions one. Which is what Phil's showing now with a handle, but you can get the little wheels on their own and you just put them in a scalpel handle and you can't get them.
So this one here, if you want to go off and have a look at it, this is when I completely riveted the 190. And again, this is where I sort of cut my teeth learning about riveting and all the rest of it. So to start off with, as you just seen, I used a template, which is pretty good because you can go up against it and you can just follow it along and all the rest of it. The trouble that you get sometimes is that your riveting wheel can jump up on top of it because it's a very thin one. So it's literally like a piece of photo etched up bit. So you go along and if you roll up onto it, then you've got to go back and go again and keep it down. But you can roughly get the hang of it. A good quality riveter, like I say, if you get hold of a UMM one, it'd be ideal. You get good confidence with it to the point where on there you can see I've sort of, you just come along and you've got it, you just follow along. So what I tend to do is if you look at the actual riveting wheel, I use it like a gun sight almost. So the bit where the nut is on the other side, just place it down and wherever I want it to go, you just do this thing. And I describe it like playing snooker. You don't look at the ball when you're hitting it. You're looking at where you want the ball to go and then you're just following through. It's the same with the riveter and it does tend to go normally exactly where you want it to go. So when I've moved on to other things later on, when we've re-riveted B52s and bears and all the rest of it, they are huge jobs. If you was to use guides and rulers, you would be there for months. So doing it freehand is so much easier and straightforward. So you're just going straight and go through. But that is all down to a good quality riveter that you get on with, which we know could be a little bit of a problem. I have to have a word with Mr. Wojtek about these and see what he's going to do. But that's the thing. But if you have a look at that build, it's where I really sort of cut my teeth and ended up doing it all. And you think, I think I did one section with a ruler and it took like a day. And then I did everywhere else in about half hour. Because you literally just, right, let's go, and you just go for it. You use guides, so what I tend to do is you put Tamiya tape down with dots, so you go from one dot to one dot, and that's across. So it just keeps your evenness and go through. So like if you look at when we did the bear, I show it on there. So I've got a guide of where it stops and where it finishes. We just have to join them up in the middle and go for it. But actually, it's a lot of fun. You don't think it at the time until you get the hang of it, but it's very, very rewarding because, as I say, doing that was a classic example. Is we tried to use whatever they were called, bloody awful raised rivet things, and they were just crap. So gave up, did this. This was a lot quicker, and to be honest, it gives a better effect as well. So yes, no, that's what I recommend. There is a riveting video to watch standalone, but honestly, it's to do with the tool. I know we've spoken about it. Revell do one, but the wheel's plastic and it does this. And it will not lend itself to going into a straight line because you end up, it just leans over. So you end up going around in a curl, a circle. But because these are very much on a large piece of metal, which it's flat up against to it, there's very little movement in the wheel. So it's very easy to go in straight lines with it. And even you have really good control. That's why I like these handles as well, because it gives me a nice good grip on the tool when you're using it. So yes.
Not add much more to that.
No, that's it.
So it is.
I think the secret as well is you don't have to apply too much pressure. You don't want to be really pushing down on it.
No, not unless you want massive rivets. So, but it's one of those things where, to be honest with you, it's all to do with the tool. As you say, this was like a night and day experience because I've tried pretty much everybody else's, and I've even tried those wheels in another holder and it just didn't work, but these just absolutely work. So I'm glad I've got a lot of them because I find them, pretty much invaluable now. So yes. He also says, in regards to my last question on riveting, with the riveting tool, will Phil be using that techno on his Cobra? The model has a tail section for the kit. This is all raised rivets on this. So, needless to say, if I was doing it, I'd have to put raised rivets on it. But luckily, the kit has them all. And the areas where, obviously on the top here and underneath here, it doesn't have them. It's literally just in these areas. So everywhere that's got raised rivets, it's got them. So, and again, my only worry was this join to the tail, because obviously it goes, but it is an absolutely perfect join. Let me just show you how good a join that is. You can't even see it. It's got this nice long plate. The only thing is there's an ejector pin in there, which I did sand off just in case, but I don't think it would have mattered anyway. But it is absolutely seamless. But no, there you go. You can see the raised rivets. I know they're not easy to see at this point, but yeah, it's all nice raised rivets. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Very, very well done.
Yes, it is. Hold on, there we go. Anyway, just wanted to say thank you to Phil and the team and the forums of the fun. Used to enjoy posting issues. Used and enjoy posting issues. I have building model kits because without your modelling help and info in the modelling, in modelling things, a model building method can go tits up really fast. Thanks for having me as a member. Looking forward to the future. No problem at all. You'll be fine. Just all comes with practice, all of this. That's the biggest thing, like I've always said. Patience, taking your time with your model building, and just learn from every build. You'll be absolutely fine. David says, hello team. I have noticed that a few kit makers are coming out with 1/35th scale aircraft kits. 2 questions for you. 1. Is there a reason why they are doing this to take advantage of all the 1/35th scale figures that are currently available for armour related kits? In other words, for use with aircraft dioramas. And 2, do you see this more of a short-term fad, or do you think it's more kit makers will jump on the bandwagon and make this a long-term trend towards 1/32nd being phased out over time with 1/35th scale aircraft kits? Well, the only thing is, it's border models, isn't it? It's what we're talking about. Border models have released a 109, but this is
talking one or two kits here. It's not like
I was going to say, I wouldn't say it's a thing. It's only one manufacturer, isn't it? So
yeah, and before TriStar tried it with a 1/35th Storch, Hobby Boss brought out and reboxed. And the only other one I can think of that's tried is Bronco, because they did the little grasshopper. Not talking helicopters here. That's different. We're talking aircraft, and it's the grasshopper, the old spotter plane from can't think what the thing is, but that is about it in 35th. I can't think of any others because everybody else's is 32nd. So if border models are going to run with it, if obviously this 109 sells like they're hoping it does, and the Stuka that they're on about doing, then I would have thought they'll release some more. If it doesn't, then they'll just go back to doing armour, I would have thought. And
again, this is the first time border models have done aircraft, isn't it?
Yes. Well, so, say if it don't work, they ain't going to flog a dead horse, are they?
No, of course not. Yeah, I think it's one of these things where obviously we often get a lot of people talk about with helicopters, because this is 32nd, and like I said during the review of it, it would be nice if it was 35th because it would go along with everything else. The one above Matt's head there, when I did the Wessex, it's like, that's a 32nd scale kit. It would have been nicer 35th. I know technically, obviously there's not that much difference in scale, but it always seems funny when they're not in it. But again, standardising it, we've spoken about these on many shows, haven't we? The way sort of Tamiya went with 35th scale in the early days and stuff like that. They sort of pushed along with it, and it's a bit like, why does Airfix do 1/24th and not 1/32nd? And it is, again, everybody has their certain ways. I don't think this is going to be a fad. I don't think it's going to be a game changer. I think it will be nice. I think the only thing you might see, if suddenly border models have cashed in and they're flogging bucket loads of this kit, it's got to be a good kit. I don't think everyone's just going to buy it because it's a different scale or the right scale or wrong scale, whichever way you look at it. I think it'll be if it's a good kit or not, you know. And then again, it's that thing. If you've already got a nice collection of 32nd scale aircraft, are you going to want to put a 35th one amongst it? So, you know, I can see the point of it because, say, if you're doing, like we said, the 109, and obviously we've got the Stuka. There's lots of things you could do with armour around it, trucks, figures and stuff like that for dioramas and that. But if you've got it sitting in the display cabinet, it doesn't matter, does it?
Not really. No, I don't think so. Like I say, we'll see. We'll see when it arrives how good it is, and whether they push on with doing some more in that scale.
I think the hint with it as well is that they seem to be picking German examples, and there's an absolute ton load of German armour, isn't there? Up there.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're probably experimenting with, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before I think Border Models even mentioned theirs, and we were saying that if money was no object, if you won like 100 million on the lottery, you might think to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to build a 35th scale Spitfire to go with all my stuff and to see what it did. But to me, it's a little bit of a punt for them to see if this is going to work, how it's going to go, because they've never done an aircraft before anyway. So it's a big ask now because, as we know, it is a different genre and there's different ways of doing it, definitely parts, different breakdown and stuff like that. So it will be interesting to see how good the kit is. But my first question will be not so much the scale, what's the kit like? If it's a good kit with really good detail and all the rest of it, I don't care if it's 1/31th scale. If it was a really nice version of it, no one's going to notice it because you're just talking small amounts. And again, I'm not on with having a line of them up where they'd all be together anyway. But I would rather have a really nice fitting kit, detail kit and all the rest of it. And then scale sort of comes secondary, because it's a bit like saying, well, I wouldn't build an airliner because it's in 144. I'd want to do it because all my other models are 1/72 or something. It's a case of it's a really nice one, it doesn't matter, So I think it's more a case of what that kit's going to be like, which it looks really nice in CAD and all the bits we've seen so far in the test shots. It looks very, very nice. But let's face it, the world is full of 109s,
Well, at least they haven't done another 48 for a 32nd one.
No.
It is a 35th one, so at least they're being a bit sort of original in the scale, if not the subject matter.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But again, it's one of those ones where it could be a really good, if it's a really nice build and it's a a really nice detail kit and all the rest of it, they'll probably do very well with it, So, but it is interesting. It's one of those, the scale issue comes up quite a lot, but again, I've never really got, I'm more worried about if the kit's a nice kit, if it goes together well, how much is it? The usual questions that people ask. Scale is sort of secondary to it. So, but it's be interesting to do. Who's going to be the first one in the Luftwaffe to build it?
Well, to be honest, I fancy doing it. I fancy
There you go, everyone. You heard it here first. The 35th scale aircraft builder will be doing it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Tony says, hi team, a question for Phil. Reference knitting elastic used for aircraft aerials. Is there a particular size of thread that you use for different scales? It seems to be drifting back to 1/72nd aircraft, not having much success with stretching sprue. Crikey, Tony, that's old school stretching sprue. I tip my hat to you for doing that. To be honest with you, it's one of those things. I think, we often talk about how small can you go, and like knitting in elastic, it is this thing. It's very thin anyway. If you stretch it, it goes even thinner. So you could just add a little bit more tension to it and it will go thinner. But it's probably about as small as you can go with seeing with the human eye without putting on your goggles to be able to see it.
Elastic.
So, yeah, I know if you buy Easy Line, they do it in different scales and all the rest of it, but that stuff's proper thick. This stuff is the thinnest one of what they do. So, yeah, I think it's that thing, how small can you go before you can't see it? So we've often discussed, didn't we, about like Airfix's riveting and panel lines are a certain size for a reason. So I think it's the same with aerials. If you go too thin, you wouldn't be able to see it. So it needs to be of a certain dimension to be able to see it. And I just find knitting in elastic, it doesn't matter if I'm doing it on 30 as rigging on a Gladiator, 32nd scale Gladiator, or if I'm doing it as an aerial on something small. On a Hurricane, on a 72nd scale Hurricane, they still look about right to me. So, yes, don't know. Thoughts?
I don't know, because I've never really rigged anything. I avoid it, so I'm not really an expert on rigging. But yeah, to be honest with you, probably the best person to ask is on tonight. He's Nate.
Yeah.
His little stuff and smaller rigging, so it might be a question to ask to him really on 72nd especially. Again, they built the iron deckers in 48 for him and Andy, haven't they? And I know they've rigged the top and done the bit of rigging that's on them. So again, that's 48, not 72nd. Don't know. John?
I've got a couple of rolls somewhere. I think I've got some EZ line and EZ line or whatever it is, and Ushi.
Yeah.
There one.
Yeah.
But I just tend to go for the fine one because I don't. Yeah, like Phil's. I don't go along with this scale thing. It's it's thin wire as it is.
Yeah.
So when you scale it down, it's going to be as thin as you could possibly get, really, like you say, so that you can still see it.
Yeah.
On whatever scale model that you're building.
Because again, aerials on aircraft, like I'm looking at the Gladiator, I can't get them out for you. They're in the cases, but like on the Gladiator, because I've done it, for obviously the rigging, but I've done it for the aerial as well. It looks to me perfect. And then right in the same case, I've got the Hurricane in 72nd, and it looks fine as well. It's almost like it's like a universal size. And actually, I've got the Hellcat there, and it's on the Hellcat as well, and that looks all right on that as well. None of it looks like it's wrong. It doesn't look like, that could do with being a bit smaller, or it looks like it could do with being thicker. Again, it just seems to fit what it is. I think it's that one of those finite sizes. You can only go down so small, and that's probably about as thin as I think you can get before
I've only ever used it for aerials. Because rigging's a whole different thing, isn't it? Because I'm probably wrong here, but wasn't there a difference? Wasn't the RAF rigging...
Yeah, you get flat wire.
Line?
Yeah, you get flat stuff as well as obviously round.
Germans tend to be round or something like that. Someone will know the answer to that.
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, they do the flat one and the round and all the rest of it. But if you're into it at that level, then good luck. So yeah. But as I say, for aerials, as we're saying here, more than rigging, I think it's one of those things. It's a finite size when you're down to it. So I would say get the thinnest one you can and use it for everything, because I've been doing it for donkey's years, and I don't think anybody's ever said that's the wrong size. And also the thing is with knitting in elastic, and I'm just looking at it over there, the first thing I ever did with it was the Fokker triplane now, which is 10 years old now, and it's still on there, and that thing's been destroyed twice. It's been in sunlight, it's been in everything, and none of it's deteriorated at all. So I have to say it still looks good. So yes, I can vouch for its longevity. Tim says, hi guys, I was wondering if you have any tips for removing paint. I recently brush painted an Airfix 72nd Vampire with Humbrol enamel silver. Well, that was my first mistake, I hear you say. Yes. And it looks awful. I tried to sand it with a belt sander. No, he didn't put that, but he probably needed DA on it. But it only served to make it look even worse. Okay, I'll paraphrase here. It probably had it. Can you have any recommendations on how to remove it? And we talked obviously about Mr. Muscle and stuff like that. Me and Matt spoke about this. Enamel paints, when they go off, are pretty much like cockroaches are made out of. So, as we've often said, the only thing that would be left after the apocalypse is cockroaches and tinlets of enamel paint, and your model will probably survive as well. It will be in the ashes. It'll be anything that's been painted in enamels will survive, because the stuff, when it goes off, is pretty much indestructible. And I must admit, I did say, I think you're probably better off just have it as a buster and buy another kit for the sake of like £7 and do that rather than play with that, because the thing is you've lost all probably your detail amongst it all. And if you sanded it off, which would literally be your only option, and then you paint over it again, you're not going to have any detail left. So I would say live, learn, keep your tinlet for prosperity, because if we all need them, put it in a drawer and we'll all laugh about it in 10 years time when you get it out and it still works and it's fine. Don't know, what do you guys think?
I definitely think just scrap it. It's
To be honest, it'll probably cost you as much to buy something like Mr. Muscle as it would be just to get a new Airfix kit in it.
To be honest, I don't think even Mr. Muscle would touch it, would it?
no,
Probably not enamel.
not enamel. It's all right on acrylics, but it won't touch it. It won't touch enamels or lacquers.
Yeah.
You're gonna create a right mess as well.
I was going to say, the thing is, then you're going to use hotter products to try and get it off, and you're just going to melt your plastic underneath it, because the plastic will be the weaker link than the paint will. If it gets inside the model, it'll melt everything inside out. It'd be like a shell, just painted shell. You've fossilised it, in other words. So
Just
yeah,
the fact
I
that
honestly,
it's
I don't think it's
a
worth the
Tamiya
hassle.
and not a great big Tamiya
Yeah.
£100 kit.
Yes, absolutely. So honestly, we often say this sometimes. Live and learn from it. Use it as a buster for testing other bits on it and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't think it's worth the hassle. I would say consign it to a drawer. But don't throw your tinlet away. Keep it so we can all go like this with our really old dodgy paints. Nigel says, hi team, a quick question if I may. I'm currently use the following paints: Tamiya, Mr. Colour, Aqueous and Vallejo Model Air. I was hoping you could point me in the right direction of a thinner that works with all three. Well,
Is there?
well, technically you could, because couldn't you use X28? And
Not with Vallejo, you can't. It makes it turn to glue, doesn't it?
does it?
I'm sure it does, yeah.
Well, you can definitely use then thingy though, not airbrush cleaner, but then the Vallejo's thinner you can, because I used to thin it all the time with it.
What, Tamiya and guns?
Yeah. Let me test. Oh, hold on.
The thing is, the Tamiya guns are like alcohol-based acrylics, whereas the Vallejo is proper water-based, isn't it?
I haven't used this for so long, but I can't think of anything else I used to thin them with. So hold on, we'll do a live-on test.
So what you got there?
Right, that's Vallejo Model Air.
Yeah.
And
So
then
that's going to thin with Vallejo thinners, isn't it?
X28.
Well then, try it.
Hold on, got to find a clean brush.
Oh God. Well, there we go. We're only on till 9 o'clock. You've only got 10 minutes.
There you go. What's wrong with that?
That's rubbish. That is. It's turning to glue, look.
It's alright.
Are you sure?
It seems to be.
Put some more thinners in it.
What's wrong with that?
It's wrong colour brown.
But couldn't you use the Mr. Hobby one as well? Because that's the same stuff, isn't it? We were saying. But you can definitely use Vallejo thinners as well. I haven't got any. I've only got the airbrush cleaner, but you can definitely use that. But I used to put this in to thin this stuff.
Oh, airbrush cleaner, absolutely.
No. I used to use their thinners. Their acrylic thinners into Model Air. I'm sure I did. I know I haven't done it for a while, but I'm pretty convinced I used to use this all the time before I moved over to using thingy. I haven't got any. I'll tell you what, I don't actually own some. I'm going to have to get some.
Get some what?
Some Vallejo normal thinners. Just a little one, just for demoing and testing and stuff. Because I haven't got any here.
Good luck with that.
Oh, is that a bit like that, is it?
Yeah.
Is there a world shortage of that?
And airbrush cleaner.
Oh, well, I've got a few of them. We're up for that. I think I've got 3 or 4 here.
I hope Ben's watching this.
Is he? Yeah.
Better be.
Ben, get on with it.
Whether you go over there to pick it up yourself from Spain.
So yes, so you could use X20A because that'll work, yes, but I don't know what the number is for it, but the normal Vallejo acrylic thinners, that'll do it as well, and that will do everybody's, because I used to always thin with that when I used to do like Tamiya and everything else. The only thing is, as I say, if you're airbrushing with it, you get a little bit of tip dry with it, so I prefer to use airbrush cleaner than I do thinners, because it's the same stuff, but it's got something in it that makes it go frothy. That's why it foams up, and that's what acts like a retarder then when you're spraying with it.
Can't you just put some like washing up liquid in your airbrush?
Well, in theory, I suppose you could do. I just don't know what to do to you.
Hey, if that's foaming up, that's got some sort of detergent in it, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would say it has obviously got a detergent in it. Yeah.
So
it's all foamy on the top.
Yeah, I'm just saying, whatever's in it, it must have some detergent in it to clean.
Yes.
Said like water-based products out, so
yeah,
it would kind of make sense, wouldn't it? I wonder if you could just make your own, surely.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, good job. Right, Dirk says, hi team. Bit related to Keith's question, would you consider adding clear decal sheet unprinted to the decal solution section? I noticed that that those types of products are becoming less common to obtain. Keith could then gin up. Say what, Keith?
Keep your gin up.
Oh, keep your gin up. Some text in yellow. Is that even a word? And then print them onto the bombs. Yeah, are they getting scarce? I think if you just go on eBay and that, normally you can find them, and people do them in packs of 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 for decal paper in white or clear. So, I don't know, I think there's plenty of pieces around, and then print them out. I think that's not a good one, because you'd have to print it and then obviously write it in a form that then you could print it out, innit? You're better off just doing it with a pencil. I think pencil's the future.
To be honest, it'd be more authentic, because that's all they did anyway.
Yeah.
Why try to manufacture it? Because it was just writing. You could, unless you're really copying a certain bomb of a picture, you can kind of write what you want on them, because it's your own then bit of flavour to your kit, innit?
Yes, definitely.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Okay, so he says he started on a 48 scale T6 Texan that needs special markings in white no less. For that I found someone in the Netherlands who used to do decal printing as a trade. He's luckily been able to provide me with a custom white printed decals for a reasonable less than €10 for registration lettering. So that's a good deal. I'll resort to cutting a mask. Well, yeah, that'd be your option, is to mask it and do it. P.S. The bomb bodies and tails were usually stored separately, so that's why they're different shades. Yes, that's right. And wear and paint. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody's done you custom decals for €10, that's a bargain. I'd get him to do them all. Because I know people who do decals and stuff like that who charge literally hundreds. So anyway, Keith says, hi Master Modelling Gurus. First of all, thank you to Andy and Matt, and possibly Andy's lads. Lads? How many's he got?
I don't know.
I think he's only got the one Sam.
It'll be news to add there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the ones that Andy knows about. For my order of paints and micro set and sol and putty, which arrived today, well packed and all in one piece. I'm quite sure that the question will have been asked before, so my apologies if this has. I ordered some Tamiya paints and a bottle of X20A thinner. Can I use the thinner with X and XF labeled paints? I know Phil always says that as long as it's got a flammable symbol that they are compatible. I just want to double check before I squirt some through. Not a good airbrush. Yes, so as long as it's just the acrylic lines of X as in gloss, XF as in flat, you'll be fine. The only thing is don't put them through LP, because that won't work. Oh, will it? I don't know. Anyone try put LP for it? Would that work? I wouldn't have thought so.
I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
Well, I don't know.
And talking of airbrush, everyone seems to be out of stock of the Procon 270s. So would you advise holding fire until they are available, or go for an H&S instead? Sorry for the long post, and thank you for everything that you guys do. You've reignited my interest in modelling. Currently building the Revel 2+2 Mustang in 1/24. There we go. And a Dodge Charger, as well as I bought the AMT 1955 Coca-Cola pickup. Plus he's got the Tamiya 35th scale 88 gun to build. Now just need to sort out the modelling area, a spray booth and an airbrush. Cool.
I'd hang on.
I would hang on as well. Like, seriously, I think, Keith, it's one of those things that, yeah, you could buy it, but if you can hang on, I would just wait. Things do tend to be sort of coming in again and moving around a little bit more. I will shoot you. Where are you based? I don't want to click on. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter. It's in the public domain, eh? Where are you? You are in the UK, right? Okay. It's just that I know somebody who's not in the UK who has got them in stock. So what I'll do, Keith, I'll shoot you a message of that, and then perhaps you can speak to them and go from there. But I'll if I don't do it tonight, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll shoot you an email of somebody I know that's got them. And maybe they can look after. But honestly, I think it's best to hold on. Don't you guys think?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, I would.
We should be on commission.
We should be selling them, but we can't.
Well, yeah, if we could get hold of, we'd sell them, but we can't. So there you go. Clive says, hello everyone. Simple question first. ICM. Yeah, we like ICM. Lidls. Think Lidls. HE111 or the Hobby 2000, which is the Hasegawa kit. HE111. Oh, 70 seconds. So anyway, okay, sorry. 48 scale ICM Heinkel or a 72nd Hasegawa Heinkel. Does size really matter?
Well, it depends who you talk to, doesn't it?
If you talk to Lynn, she's yeah. Anyway,
I'll tell you said that.
I don't know. What do you guys reckon? What would you go? 48 ICM or?
Depends, but it's a bit of an impossible question to answer.
It's a loaded question, isn't it? Yeah, because what scale do you want it in? Because it's a big.
We can't answer that because that's down to personal preference. So they're both great kits.
Yes.
It's your preference on what scale you want to build it in, to be honest. So
I must admit, I haven't built the ICM one, but I have done the Hasegawa one a couple of times, and that is actually a nice kit.
Yeah.
I think the 48 scale ICM one, like we were saying, is a bit like Lidl's. It looks quite basic, but it doesn't. It goes together really well when you've got everything. Just like this, it's got a basic engine. It's nothing fancy. You need wiring, you need plumbing if you're going to show it and all the rest of it. But if you're not going to worry about it, then the ICM kit's a really, really nice kit. But don't forget, there is quite a size difference between both. You know? As you say, you've got 72nd, 48th, and I've done 32nd. So it is a case of take your options on that one. The Hobby Boss 2000 says Hasegawa kit, so it's a little bit older now. But if you go with the Hobby 2000 one, you get the mask set with it, which to be honest is a massive plus with that kit because you need one to build it unless you really are a martyr. Yeah, so I don't know. In some ways, I'd be drawn with the Hasegawa kit because it's a nice size, you know.
Yeah.
But say if you want to do it a bit bigger, a bit more, you know, than the ICM one.
So we still answered the question.
No, we probably confused him even more then.
That's about. We're not getting anywhere with this question. If he was saying right, what the Hobby 2000 kit compared to the Airfix one in 72nd,
yes,
that's an easier comparison for us to say right. Well, I'd go for this one or this one.
Yes,
but obviously two different scales, so it's right personal preference of what you want to build in. Like I say, they're both good kits.
They're both good. I was going to say, I think it'd be easy. Yeah, if the like not being funny, the Hobby 2000 one was some other dodgy one, then obviously you'd say I'll do the ICM one because it's a nice straightforward build and away you go. But honestly, you say I built the Hasegawa one, done two of them, and they are really nice kits. So
what's the price difference?
Don't know.
I don't think there's a lot in. No, there is actually. I'll tell you what, because ICM's gone up quite a bit. So I think there is actually quite a bit of price difference. If you go to New Arrivals, that's got the Hobby 2000 in it.
All right, so that's, say, 30 quid, just round it off.
Well,
Not that we got any.
hey, well, we ain't then, because they've gone.
They've all gone. Okay.
Okay, we'll get some more of them in, to be honest. We're waiting for another delivery to come. So ICM ones, they've gone up to about 50 odd quid now, I think, if not a bit more. They're top.
Yeah, so 45 quid.
Yeah.
Other versions.
So if you're buying from us, you need the ICM one.
Yeah.
Probably down the bottom.
Yeah, they're there, look. But we haven't got any of those ones anyway.
We did go through them because we had them on sale, didn't we?
Yeah.
With ICM actually restocked. So, yeah.
It is a very, very difficult question, that one, I have to say, because it's not straightforward. But honestly, I would say if you want something a bit bigger, then do the ICM one, because that extra tenner, you're going to get 10 quid's definitely worth more model. But again, if you want to keep it a little bit smaller, you know, then obviously I would say the Hobby 2000 Haskell kit is really nice.
Hey, but you don't get a mass set with the ICM one, so you're going to have to spend another tenner on a mass set. So that's 20 quid more expensive.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, definitely. So yeah, it depends if you're pushing your budget with that one now. So
anyway, we're running over. So.
Okay, while stumbling around, while stumbling around the web, looking for news about a certain 1/72 scale mosquito, I don't think that's going to be out for a bit. That was on its way. I found about 10 years ago that Airfix tooled a 1/24 scale. That must have been an absolute beast of a kit. It was. Steve built that, didn't he?
I've got one. I've got Keith's up on the roof, and it's massive.
It is a big kit. It is a chunky monkey. The only thing is with it, it's got a really, really delicate undercarriage. So it's a lot of kit on not a lot of plastic.
Yeah, you need to upgrade the undercarriage.
You definitely do. Was it a good kit? I wouldn't say it was like their Typhoon, because the Typhoon came after it 24 scale, and the Typhoon's got some really nice touches. It's got stressed skin, it's, you know, and all the rest of it. But the thing is with the Mosquito, it is what it is. It's the Wooden Wonder. So it's just flat surfaces, isn't it? And nice curves, and that's pretty much what the kit is. So it is big though, and you can get lots of aftermarket for it. So if you wanted to have a go at it, then knock yourself out. Did the team ever build it? Steve built it. I don't think he did a video build of it, but yeah, Steve did it back in the day. I think it predates a PM. It does. It must be what, 15 years old now, that kit?
I bet it is. It's not been on there. I thought so. It got re-released a few years ago. But it's gone again now out the catalogue.
Yeah, they did the other version of it, didn't they? They released. It was the C version, wasn't it?
Sea Mosquito, or whatever you want to call it. It was that version. I've got the original boxing of it. But again, it's gone, and I don't know what prices they're fetching again. Because I think it was one of them. Once it was back in production, you couldn't give them away.
It was. You used to see them at shows, piles of them.
The original boxing was going for absolutely daft money at one point.
Yeah.
And then they re-released it, a bit like what they're doing with the Valiant, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Stuff. And it's gone again now, so you might find it. Scoot around if you really want one, but it's big, and you've got to upgrade the undercarriage, like Phil said, because it's proper weak point on them.
It is, yeah. Because I know a couple of people who built it, and all of them, the undercarriage snapped on it, because it snapped on Steve as well, if I remember rightly. So
yeah, I think it did collapse on his. The other thing as well is, I would say really skip that one and buy the Tamiya one, but seeing that we've got to get Tamiya anyway at the minute, and the price of the Tamiya one, you still probably could get the 24th one cheaper.
Yeah.
Because the Tamiya one's touching 200 quid now, isn't it?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. If you can do the Tamiya one, don't waste your time like I did and spend another 200 quid on it with all the upgrades, because they're not worth it. Just get with the kit parts and just give it some wiring and a bit of finesse. And if you want to knock yourself out, just give it a bit around the cockpit. But definitely don't buy extra engines at a cost of another 100 quid. Gun bays, bomb bays, full cockpit, wheels, undercarriage, everything. So that was a really expensive mistake on that one.
Yes.
So yes, there we go. Alrighty, chaps.
Yeah.
Good questions. Good job you locked it earlier, Matt.
Absolutely.
So yes, good job. Okie dokie. Well, look, we'll carry the conversation over till tomorrow afternoon as well. So if you want to join us from 3 o'clock onwards, we'll be on with the TFI Friday shows, make our way through. On tomorrow as well, obviously part 1 of the Cobra will be up, which basically talks about doing the cockpit and the various things in there. Part 2 will be up with you on Monday, which will probably get you to about here. Hopefully I want to get the base plate on tomorrow and the nose on, so that can all be drying and then taking its time over the weekend so I can sand and clean it and all the rest of it, make sure it's all seamless and stuff like that. And then next week we'll get it all together and get it in paint. So that's a good one. What's your plans for the weekend then, John? Anything exciting?
I've got to work Saturday, and then, like I said, I'm on my own Sunday, so I'm going to be in here all day Sunday.
So you'll be on there, looking around the internet and not getting anything done.
Yeah, probably.
That's
usual.
normal day.
Yeah, that's about right.
It'll be too hot. You'll have the door open, so it's too hot in here. Definitely.
Have you seen the forecast for Sunday? It's going to be proper hot, isn't it?
Proper scorching, definitely. Yeah. And Matt, any plans for the weekend?
Yeah, putting the house back together. We've got decorators coming in.
Oh, nice.
Well, hey, before we go, there's a bit of a story here, right? We've got a decorator coming tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Even though I was under the impression it was coming this morning.
Oh, right, okay.
So Leslie and Lydia have gone to the mother-in-law's to stop because he's doing our bedrooms. He's doing our main bedroom and Lydia's room. So everything's crammed into the spare room, like furniture, everything, and that's where I'm sleeping. So I'm there and I get up this morning, I was up early, I thought, right, I'll get sorted, get ready for him coming, get me breakfast, do all my little jobs and all that. Anyway, I'm sitting there and we've had him in before, so he's really prompt. He's not one who messes about. He comes. He's 8 o'clock. He's there. 8 o'clock comes. I'm sitting there. Nobody here yet. I'm like, what's going on? So right, perhaps he's got to go and get something, whatever. 8:30 comes. Still not here. So anyway, Leslie's dropped Lydia off at school, so I think I better ring her. I goes, do you know when he's coming? Because he's not here yet. It's not like him. Blah blah blah. Anyway, she looks at her phone. She goes, oh yeah, he's coming tomorrow. Thanks for that.
Nice update.
Every morning sitting around for nothing.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got him in tomorrow and Saturday, I would have thought. So if he gets done, then it's putting all the bedrooms back together and getting it ready. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'd be good. All good job. Right, okay then guys, thank you very much for joining us this evening. It's an absolute pleasure as always. We'll be with you tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock if you'd like to join us there. If not, obviously you can catch up with it a little bit later on as we make our way through. And obviously this little part will be up with you probably around about midday, first part on the actual Cobra as well. Big thank you for John, obviously for Matt for joining us this evening. Big thank you for you guys for joining us at home as well. We will see you tomorrow. Say good night, gentlemen. We are out of here.
Bye.
Cheers guys. Bye.